Welcome to the Launch to Six podcast, a podcast about how you can launch your online business from 0 to 6 figures in 24 months or less, regardless of your prior experience. Now, here's your hosts.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Launch to Six podcast. In this episode, we're going to talk about how to start approaching building out a website, or more specifically, your brand website, which is a very key tool. I'm here with my man Casper.
Hi guys,
and
what's going on?
We are slurping on much coffee, and we are very pepped. So, guys, we're going to dive into the episode, get you guys some really good content. So, first point, and this is from the context of approaching a website, wherever you are going to be building this yourself, or you're looking to outsource it to a developer or anybody else. And our key first point to you guys is to think about what your purpose of your website is.
That's right. Well, like you said, there's a few different routes you can go with this. You can get a pre-made website done for you. There's various web services like Wix or Squarespace that will kind of give you templates and allow you to make the website yourself. If you want something a bit more specialist, you can maybe hire a web developer. If you want to get your hands dirty, get some hands-on experience building web pages, you can have a go yourself.
Absolutely.
Depending on your learning. If you want to learn web development, if you want to learn coding, if that's something you're interested in, or if you just want a web page, then you can always hire someone to get it done for you.
Yeah, there's a really key point being, obviously, understanding that purpose and saying, who's going to be using this? How are they going to be using it? Is it a lead page that you're driving traffic to for a specific call to action? Or is it, say, a brand website where you're trying to establish credibility? It could be a portfolio site. If some of you guys are, I don't know, web designers, gardeners, whatever you are, whatever your product is, or, it might be a testimonial site. So that's a really key point to remember. And we'll put these in the show notes. So our next point is around leading on from the purpose of the site. Is SEO important? And I think it's really key. Well, what is SEO?
Well, SEO is search engine optimization. And it's essentially a couple of things that dictate how your web page is found using a search engine. So Google, for example, there's a few others like DuckDuckGo, the privacy-based one. But Google being the main one, is the most popular, the most people use it. There's various metadata associated with your web page and tags, and also the scraping algorithm kind of looks at the content of the page, and using various kind of machine learning algorithms determines the nature of your page, the category, the general content, and uses that to kind of to organically find your web page every time people search for it.
Yeah, so your SEO, again, going from the purpose, it might not be so important. So, if you are just driving paid traffic to it, it's not all that important. Whereas if you are really looking to be driven and get organic searches, and this might be very useful for your brand site and so on and so forth, this is where SEO is really important. But it's really crucial to understand that from the off. And the reason for it is, as Casper rightly said, there are certain ways in which these these search engines will actually look and rank your website based on its structure, based on the pages. A lot of it's based on what they call crawlers and the way the crawlers read your site, so it's readability. And you can talk, there's a lot of SEO experts, but it's good to understand that from the outset.
But yeah, it's all about relevance. Loading speed also plays a part.
Accessibility.
Technologies, accessibility is a huge one. There's a couple. There's essentially a checklist of things that you need to do right to be able to rank highly for a specific search, and you do target these at specific searches.
Yeah, absolutely. And so moving on to the next part of this, and this is around design. And when I talk design, I'm talking graphic design, so the way that your website looks. Looking at it and going, right, okay, what is the experience that I want my users to have? Do I want it to be highly polished and very branded, or does it have to be more user-friendly?
UX design, graphic design being the purely visual way that your web page looks, whereas UX design being short for user experience, which is how your pages navigate, how you get from various parts of your site to other parts of your site and all
Yeah.
of that.
And it is a key thing to consider. One from UX, as Casper rightly said, and one from graphic design, because if you are looking for a very specific look, a feature, a specific type of animation, perhaps, you may not necessarily be able to get this from a pre-existing platform like Wix, for example, or even ClickFunnels, as we use it. It might be something that has to be coded in manually. It might be something that can be done through WordPress. So it's just something to really consider, guys. And so moving on to the next part, and this is your call to actions. Now, we love call to actions in online marketing. It is what gets your traffic to make a decision. You're getting them to come in, you're getting them to subscribe, click the link, opt in, whatever it is. Now, it's really crucial to understand when you're building out your site, what is that call to action to be? And again, goes back to your purpose. What's the purpose? Where is that person traveling through the page? What are you trying to get them to do? And is it just that you want them to just see you and it's nice and that you feel credible, you're sharing your testimonials? Or is it that you're really trying to get them to opt in? My advice is to always have some form of opt-in, have some form of call to action. And this leads on to a very nice element now, which Casper is far more adept at. It's then your connection to your back-end services. So, I don't know, so touching upon, what would you add to that?
So that's right. This is everything that is fetched from a server. So this could be a database, this could be user login. This is everything that requires some form of interaction that isn't available just on the front end. So the front end being what the user sees. Sometimes, you'll have to authenticate, log in maybe, fetch some extra data associated with a search. All of that is essentially handled by a back-end server, quite often an API, and these things are essential to the functionality required for certain things like forms or anything that requires sending data from one place to another or loading data. All that kind of stuff requires some form of a backend.
Yeah, absolutely. So just thinking about the fact that, if your site is more than just a static page, there's going to be something happening behind it. So it might be, for example, as I mentioned previously, an opt-in. Do you want that to connect into your list, into an email driver? Do you want that to do something? So always bear that in mind when kind of going, well, I want them to come on and I want this to happen. So bear that in mind, and then there'll be that integration between that your front end, your page, and the integration between the back. And how can you do that? So if it is for a pre-existing platform, that might be a bit more complex. So just bear that in mind. And then my final point, and this is more around, when you are going to be, outsourcing this to somebody, is with regards to your brand. Do you have a brand palette? Now, a brand palette is quite crucial, and it essentially allows you to very quickly communicate your brand. Netflix has got a good brand palette. All of these big companies, they have a brand palette. And what this includes are your logos, the different formats of your logos, what makes your brand graphically correct. So your fonts, your colors, all consistency. Just to give an example, obviously within Launch 6, within Menacing Media, this is a perfect example. I'm the one who's tending to design and build out some of these experiences with Casper. Then Casper tends to build them out. So I will communicate to Casper through the use of a brand palette and the general frameworks. It saves him having to guess what the color is and so on and so forth. And that is so hugely valuable when someone comes. When we have a client comes in. Yeah, and so many times we've had it where clients come in, they're like, I'll build a site. And we're like, sure, okay, have you got your logo at least? And 9 times out of 10, they won't. So we've effectively got to go and almost redo that work. So for you guys out there starting your online business, you're launching to 6, you're doing, following those steps, a brand palette is where you really save your money and save your time, because you can very quickly say, I want a page up, here's my brand palette. And a designer, a developer, an outsourcer will very quickly take that on, and it will save a lot of time in getting you guys up. And at the end of the day, time is money. So just to summarize, guys, so real key little checklist. So the purpose of your site, that's one. Is SEO important? Check that out, because that'll influence the structure of your site. Design features, any specifics that you want. That may be towards your brand, towards your message. Maybe you want an animation or something like that. How is that presented? Or video, for example. Design features, which I've just said. Call to actions. How's that going to work? And then the connections to your back end. How is that all going to look? And then finally, a brand palette. So, guys, hope that's been useful from me and Casper. Thank you very much for lending us your ears. As always, do check out the Launch to 6, the free Facebook group. Come join us on there. I'll put a link in the show notes. And look forward to catch you on the next podcast. Take care, guys.
Thanks, guys. Cheers. See you in the next one.
Take care.